Grief Opened the Door to Heaven by Kim Droptiny, Chapter 23, Afternoon Walk. Whom have I in heaven but you? I desire you more than anything on earth. My heart may fail and my spirit grow weak, but God remains the strength of my heart. Psalm 72:26. When I was about 15 years old, my mom brought home a dusty old book from our church library entitled Intramuros by Rebecca Springer. That book changed my life, and there has never been a time when I didn't have a copy of it. The author had what we would call a near-death experience in the late 1800s. Her health was weak, and she was in a convalescent home when her spirit slipped out of her body and she went to heaven. This is what she says in the introduction. The pages of this little volume contain no fancy sketch written to while away an idle hour, but are the true, though greatly condensed, record of an experience during days when life hung in the balance between time and eternity, with the scales dipping decidedly toward the eternity side. As a teenager, I was astonished and delighted with her descriptions of heaven. It was the first time that I realized that heaven wasn't a place where we sit on clouds and play harps, but a real lively place with homes and a future life to look forward to. It was from that book that I first heard the idea that those who have passed from this life are sometimes allowed to return to earth in spirit form to comfort those they left behind. Later, I read the same idea in the book A Severe Mercy by Sheldon Vanauken. He wrote that after his wife's death, her spirit form walked into their bedroom, sat down on the bed where they talked together. She shared at length with him, and then she was gone. I have discussed the idea of departed ones returning to earth with people who have lost loved ones, and many have testified that they too sensed the very nearness of their departed. I found each experience of sensing Gabe's presence to be as natural as breathing. The next time Gabe was allowed to be with me was on a day that I took his baby, my 6-month-old grandson, out for a walk. As I pushed his stroller down the street, Gabe was suddenly there, walking along right next to me. Unless you have had such an experience yourself, it is hard to explain how natural it all feels. I was overjoyed that he was with me and noticed that his whole being was purified and clean, unlike the spiritual darkness that hovers over Berlin like a black cloud. As we walked along, I was given a spiritual view of Berlin and saw ugly demons lurking everywhere throughout the city. In tears, I whispered quietly, "I'm so sorry that you had to live in this city, because I know it was hard for you to withstand the darkness." I sensed his agreement and knew that he now saw complete truth which he would not acknowledge while on earth. He never liked to talk about demons or the reality of spiritual warfare. He simply had not chosen to fight as he should have done. I stopped at the mall and, in the busyness of caring for my grandson, forgot about Gabe until I was on the way home and once again felt his presence. I was near the home of my grandson when it occurred to me that since Gabe was in spirit form, he could surely see the angels that were protecting the baby. As I walked down that gray, dingy street full of graffiti, I smiled down at the baby, imagining our huge, bright angels. Just before we reached the home, I saw Gabe look down at the baby, deeply into his eyes. And just then, the baby looked up, but not at me. He was looking at something next to me with joy on his face. Did I dare believe that he was actually seeing Gabe? Yes, I felt sure that he had. He was smiling and gurgling, and then Gabe told me that he had to go, and just like that, he was gone. End of chapter 23. God bless you, and we'll see you in the next chapter.